Am I the idiot? Stories of family, friendship, and unfair judgment. We've all been there. Stuck in a moment where we question ourselves. Am I the idiot here? Maybe it's a family slight that cuts deeper than it should, a friend's careless remark that stings, or a stranger's judgment that makes you second-guess your choices. These stories, drawn from real-life experiences, dive into the messy, emotional, and sometimes infuriating moments where people grapple with fairness, loyalty, and the courage to stand up for themselves. Buckle up, because these tales aren't just relatable. They're raw, provocative, and designed to make you rethink what you'd do in their shoes. Let's explore the emotional roller coasters, the logical traps, and the controversial twists that make these stories impossible to ignore. The outcast sibling at the wedding. Imagine this. Your sister's wedding is weeks away. The venue is booked, the flowers are ordered, and the bridesmaid dresses are being fitted. There are 12 bridesmaids, 12. Your two other sisters are in the lineup. Your brother's a groomsman, and you're not even invited to hold a bouquet. You're the only sibling left out, standing on the sidelines of your own family's celebration. That's the reality for a 19-year-old woman whose 28-year-old sister decided she didn't make the cut. The exclusion stings, but it's not just about the wedding. Growing up, she always felt like the odd one out, the sibling who never quite fit. She respected her sister's choice. It's her day after all. But the hurt runs deep. She wasn't even asked to help with wedding planning. Except for last-minute errands her sister was too bored to handle. Her parents were upset too, but they stayed quiet to avoid her sister's wrath. When her mom gently prodded for a reason, the truth came out, and it was a gut punch. Her sisters secretly resent her. Why? Because her birth caused health complications for their mother. Complications they blame her for to this day. Let's pause here. Blaming a sibling for being born? Holding a grudge against a fetus for their mother's illnesses? It's absurd. Yet it's the kind of irrational resentment that festers in families. This isn't just a wedding snub. It's a lifetime of being scapegoated for something beyond her control. Her brother, to his credit, doesn't share this view, calling it an unfortunate situation. But her sister, the bride, doubled down. I only want the most important people in my wedding party, and you're not one of them. Ouch! Faced with this betrayal, she made a bold choice. She's skipping the wedding entirely. Now her sisters are furious. Not because they miss her, but because her absence will raise questions among guests. They call her selfish for putting herself first, demanding she suck it up for one day to save face. But here's the controversial hook. Is it selfish to protect your dignity? Or is it cowardly to dodge the drama? Most would say she's justified. Her family's behavior is indefensible. Yet there's a whisper of doubt. By not showing up, is she letting their narrative win? Is she proving she's the outsider they've always made her feel like? This story taps into a universal fear: being rejected by those closest to you. It exploits the confirmation bias. Her sister's belief that she's lesser because of their mother's health has shaped their actions for years. It also triggers empathy in the reader, who hasn't felt unfairly judged or excluded. The emotional payoff comes from her decision to walk away, a move that's both empowering and divisive. Some might cheer her for choosing self-respect. Others might argue she should confront her family head-on. Either way, it's a story that sticks with you, forcing you to question loyalty, fairness, and the cost of standing up for yourself. The privileged girl who wasn't picture a cozy get-together at your apartment. You and your husband are hosting friends, including Nate and his new girlfriend, Camilla. You're in your 20s with stable jobs, a modest flat, and a love for budget travel and tennis. Camilla, who's still finding her footing in the city, seems nice enough. The conversation turns to serious topics: inflation, the housing market, the pandemic's fallout. You chime in, agreeing with Camilla, when she cuts you off with a laugh. No offense, but you're way too spoiled and privileged to understand these things. You'd need a tragedy or two to get it. The room freezes. Your friends stare at their drinks. Camilla's words hang in the air, sharp and dismissive. You could have clapped back, but instead you pivot, offering food to break the silence. The moment passes, but the wound lingers. The next day, Camilla texts you, not to apologize but to scold you. Nate told her about your past. An abusive father, a teenage illness that left you hospitalized for months, multiple surgeries, and a grueling recovery. She's mad you didn't share these personal things earlier, claiming you made her look bad by staying silent. She even says you robbed her of a chance to apologize publicly. Here's the provocative twist. Is it your job to bare your soul to prevent someone else's bad assumptions? Camilla's accusation flips the script, making you the villain for not preemptively disclosing trauma. It's a classic case of projection. She's embarrassed and shifting blame. The story hooks you with its unfairness. Who hasn't been misjudged based on appearances? It also plays on social desirability bias. Camilla wanted to seem worldly and relatable, but her attempt backfired spectacularly. The emotional depth lies in the narrator's restraint. She didn't lash out. She didn't humiliate Camilla. She chose grace, but at what cost? Some might say she should have called Camilla out on the spot, turning the tables. Others might admire her composure, seeing it as a quiet strength. The story challenges the belief that you owe others your story to justify your perspective. It's a reminder that assumptions are dangerous, and apologies should come from accountability, not entitlement. The housewife dream and the judgmental neighbors meet a 24-year-old single dad raising his 5-year-old daughter. Life hasn't been easy. He had her at 19, her mom's out of the picture, and every day is a balancing act. But his daughter, she's a spark of joy, cycling through dream jobs like a kid flipping through a costume box. One week she's a teacher, the next a truck driver, then a knee doctor after her dad's injury. Recently, she decided she wants to be a football steward after watching a match, inspired by the people in yellow vests who get paid to do nothing. He plays along, buying her a little vest and badge, letting her work by watching him in silence and demanding payment after. Then, an old friend visits and mentions she's a housewife. Suddenly, his daughter's obsessed. She's mothering her stuffed animals, helping with homework, and planning meals for her kids with imaginary food allergies. It's adorable, until the neighbors get involved. After she tells them she's been grocery shopping for her husband and children, they give her dad strange looks. Later, they knock on his door, launching into a 1-hour lecture about how he's damaging his daughter by encouraging this housewife phase. They argue it's the 21st century, and girls shouldn't dream of being homemakers. It's ignorant and stupid. They demand he stop brainwashing her before her subconscious settles for less. The dad is rattled. He's young, insecure, and terrified of messing up. The neighbor's words hit hard, feeding his fear of unintentionally harming his daughter. But here's the controversial angle. Is it wrong to let a child dream freely, even if the dream clashes with modern ideals? The neighbor's sanctimonious lecture assumes they know what's best, but they're blind to the joy and creativity in her play. This story leverages moral outrage. The neighbor's audacity is infuriating, and empathy for a young parent doing his best. The deeper logic is about freedom versus control. By supporting his daughter's phases, he's fostering her imagination, not dictating her future. Next week, she might want to be an astronaut. The neighbor's reaction reeks of status quo bias, clinging to a narrow definition of empowerment. The emotional hook is the dad's vulnerability. He's not perfect, but he's trying. The story ends with a call to action. Keep loving your kid, no matter what others say. It's a powerful reminder that parenting isn't about pleasing the crowd, It's about nurturing your child's spirit. Underscore 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 the date who insulted the waitress. You're on a date, the third or fourth, with someone your sister set you up with. You've agreed to take turns paying, and tonight's your turn. Dinner's going fine until the restaurant gets busy, and the waitress hasn't refilled your date's water. Instead of a polite reminder, your date snaps. If you're mentally declining, you should be in a retirement home, not leaving people thirsty. The waitress, visibly shaken, apologizes and scurries off. You're mortified. The cruelty of the comment, delivered so casually, shocks you. You confront your date, asking why she'd say something so harsh. Her response: a shrug. You excuse yourself, apologize to the waitress, pay for your meal, tip generously, and leave. Your date, left to fend for herself, faces the manager's threat to call the cops when she can't pay. She calls her father for money and a ride home. The next day your sister calls livid. She says you're the idiot for abandoning her friend, arguing that since you picked her up and it was your turn to pay, you should have covered her meal and driven her home. You explain, but she's not listening. You offer to send the money to end the argument, but not without a parting shot. God help their future boyfriends. The controversial question: is it okay to ditch a date who crosses a moral line, even if it leaves them stranded? This story plays on reciprocity. You agreed to pay, but her behavior broke the social contract. It also triggers moral licensing. Some might argue her rudeness justified your response, while others see your actions as petty. The emotional pull is the tension between standing up for what's right, defending the waitress, and the guilt of leaving someone in a tough spot. It's a story that sparks debate. Where's the line between accountability and overreaction? Understand for babysitter, who couldn't stay your babysitter, working Mondays and Wednesdays for a woman down the street. It's a Wednesday, and you're not yourself, dizzy, nauseous, and throwing up repeatedly. The kids are playing outside, but you're struggling to stay upright. You call the mom, explaining you're sick and need to leave. She brushes you off, telling you to hold on until the end of the day. 15 minutes later, you're worse. You text her again, call your friend, the other babysitter, and arrange for her to take over. Your brother picks you up and you collapse at home. When you wake up, the mom's blowing up your phone, demanding to know why you left. You explain you were too sick to stay, but she's skeptical. You didn't sound sick. You could have waited. She's upset because her schedule's disrupted, and she can't afford to lose you. You mention this isn't the first time. She once refused to let you leave during a personal emergency. You tell her you're done unless she respects your boundaries. She pleads, but you're torn. You feel guilty, but you can't ignore her lack of empathy. The provocative angle. Should you sacrifice your health for someone else's convenience? This story taps into authority bias. The mom expects obedience because she's the employer. It also evokes empathy for the babysitter's plight and frustration at the mom's entitlement. The emotional core is the babysitter's struggle to prioritize herself without guilt. The logic is clear. No one should be forced to work through a medical emergency. The story ends with a challenge. Stand your ground, even when it's hard. It's a rallying cry for self-respect in the face of unreasonable demands. Underscore 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 underscore. Why these stories matter. These stories aren't just anecdotes. They're mirrors reflecting our own struggles with fairness, loyalty, and self-worth. They challenge conventional wisdom. That family always comes first. That politeness trumps honesty. That children's dreams should be molded to fit society's expectations. They exploit cognitive biases, confirmation, authority, reciprocity, to make you question your assumptions. They pull you in with emotional stakes, betrayal, embarrassment, guilt, and keep you hooked with controversial choices that defy easy answers. The common thread? The courage to say enough. Whether it's skipping a wedding, leaving a rude date, or quitting a toxic job, these people chose themselves over others' expectations. That's not selfishness, it's survival. And yet, each story leaves room for debate. Did they go too far? Should they have compromised? The ambiguity is deliberate, designed to spark curiosity and conversation. So what would you do? Would you attend the wedding to keep the peace? Or walk away like the outcast sibling? Would you correct Camilla's assumptions? Or let her stew in her mistake? Would you let your daughter dream of being a housewife? Or steer her toward bigger goals? These questions linger, urging you to reflect on your own values and boundaries. In the end, being the idiot isn't about making the wrong choice. It's about daring to make a choice at all, even when the world tells you you're wrong. So go ahead, be the idiot. Own your story, and let the critics talk. They're probably just jealous you had the guts to do it.